Wednesday, my dude.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Wednesday. Did anything happen while I was gone?
We're a democracy now.
Awesome.
It happened.
Democracy won.
Democracy won.
It just took a couple album cover poses and strongly worded letters, fight videos. No, it's been a weird week without talking to you, Pat, to all of you guys. A little bit more offline than I normally am, which I have to say, sort of nice. But yeah, there's still...
Hey, did you get your hair did?
No.
Your hair looks different. Okay. I didn't want to miss it.
No, I like it. I like that you're paying attention to me, Pat. You're taking me in.
Social cues.
Yeah, no, we got back at 2 a.m. yesterday. And so I'm a little bit of a mess. So please bear with me, but I'm really happy to be here. Yes.
I'm not alone.
Thanks, Kimmy. Yes, please make sure to like and subscribe, smash that notification bell. And thanks. Oh my God, look at that. I washed my hair at 2 a.m. and maybe I just need to do that more often. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was out there touching grass. I will say, actually, I was telling Pat right before we came on that so for anybody who doesn't know, even though I talk about my kids all the time, I was in Minnesota at Carleton, where both my sons are at school, and they both play baseball on the team together, a freshman and a senior, and it was senior day. So I was there for that. And I was saying to Pat that one of the dads who I actually ended up talking to for the first time after 4 years of our kids being together on the same team told me he was a recent subscriber to Punch Up Pot. So look at that. Shout out, Marino. Welcome. Awesome. Yeah. And my two nephews, it's very cute, 7 and 11. They talk to their teachers and their coaches. And we have a couple of subscribers from over there in Brooklyn that I'm very grateful. My nephews are proselytizing for our show.
There you have it. Worldwide.
Yes. How have you been?
I mean, with you out here, I'm drinking more, it's just sitting around drinking.
Wait, somehow it's like heads I win, tails you lose. Because normally you say you're drinking so much because of me.
I mean, I put it all. I'm no accountability for myself is what matters here.
Yeah, for sure.
But, I do want to shout out Fieldwork. Since we're doing a show sort of on Trump's 100 days, it's called 1-Star Review. And I thought that fit very well today.
Yeah, 1-Star Review. I think that's being generous.
Yeah, truly, it's not even 1 star. But it does remind me, like sometimes you can only leave 1 as the lowest on some of these reviews. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, it's like you get like what, 400 points on the SATs just for doing your name or something.
Right. I think that fits.
Yeah. All right. So 1 star is the best you could do.
Worst I could give them.
Just because I had to brag for a moment before we move on to everything, I just wanted to put up my 2 boys because I love this picture so much. I will be framing it. Game day, Stolberg boys. I love it.
It makes very cool.
Makes me very proud and happy. I miss them. My hearts are across the country now, but I'm so super proud of them. and I can't wait to swish them this summer. Okay, now we can get to all the sad stuff, but no, but first we're going to do more happy stuff. We are cheersing our wonderful members. You guys, look at how many columns we are growing and expanding. We are so excited and grateful to you guys. So thank you for being part of this community. We really are so appreciative, and all of your retweets and comments and all of that really are so incredibly helpful and mean the world to us. So thank you, and cheers.
Cheers. It does help a lot, and leaving comments on YouTube also. So even if we're wrong on something, just leave it on YouTube. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll block you later, maybe, but we'll just... Nope.
No, we do not want to be spreading fake news. So when Pat gets things wrong, please make sure that you let us know. Yeah, when he makes up statistics. All right, should we do a quick wheel spin?
Sure.
All right. And thank you. I'm seeing all these really sweet comments about my boys. Thank you. That means a lot. Okay. It really is. Cheers. Okay, so here we go. Spinning the wheel. I'm out of practice. Not of drinking, but of spinning. Look at that.
All right. Let's do some frame art.
All right.
Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to?
I like that kind of stuff. It's kind of fun. Creative.
Amen.
Amen.
Handmade and not digital and not AI.
I like to see people
appreciate it so much more.
Exactly. Using their fingers and creativity. Very cool. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into the heartache and pain, because there is a lot to go around.
We have a cheers to go to.
We do. Yeah. And we're going to be honest about the way we are all being treated, because the system is rigged.
I'm going to keep posting about this all day because this is bullshit. I went and logged into my federal loan account, and this is what I found. I graduated in 2011 with $46,000 in student loan debt. My loan debt is now almost $90,000 fucking dollars. In that time, I've been a social worker that has made income-based repayments on my loan for years, and that shit has almost doubled. You want to know why people are pissed off about their student loans? It's not because we can't get anyone else to pay them for us. It is because you have set it up where we can never pay them off ourselves. And then you sit here and tell us into our faces that we are lazy, this is somehow our fault, while cheering on banks and auto industries and Elon fucking Musk getting subsidies of millions of dollars a day. Anyone who still doesn't see that this is rigged against us can get fucked.
Get fucked. We had like 4 different options for our episode title this week, and that was high in the running. Get fucked.
And let me tell you, there are a million people like her right now with student loans that are just going to be irate. And they're not going to look at Democrats and think Democrats are fighting for us and
No.
saving. I'm one of these people, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
But
Yeah.
can you imagine being on income-based repayment, which is like, yeah, you only make $5,000 a month. So, they factor that in and your payment is $300 or something.
Right.
And part of these programs, some of them are designed around if you work for the federal government, if you take jobs in these certain slots, you do that for 20 years, your loan will be forgiven. A lot of these programs are just getting wiped out, gone. And a lot of the income-based repayment programs are going to change. And dude, it's if I was telling my kid to go to, if he was asking for advice about going to college or not, nope. Sorry.
I mean, there is almost no way ever to pay that back. You're never going to pay it back. And in addition to that, it's groceries, it's housing, it's healthcare. There is no way to save your way to have a comfortable life in this environment. The boomers fucked all of us. They keep voting for those Democrats no matter what, because they're the lesser evil. Look what you got us. Thank you for that. Just absolute economic devastation.
These are people mad about the loan part of it, but like imagine seeing that video when you're on your way to college, but you're also seeing what's happening with the economy, the loans, the economy, the AI taking over all the jobs, and thinking, should I get myself into potential lifetime of debt?
For what? I mean, for nothing. Like you actually have to hope to win the lottery. That's it.
And if you go to school, college, I mean, the smart way, get as much UC community college credits as you can. A lot of these schools now have programs designed entirely to take people out of the community college system, because the smart people don't want all that debt. So they're not taking on loans when they used to. Some of the smartest people are going to be going to the community colleges now. I mean, it was always the case, but now it's really an extreme version of it.
I mean, how does I honestly, like, what are people who are graduating right now coming into? They're
coming into 100 interviews for one, position.
Yeah,
like
the
to
competition.
Get a job eventually. And like,
yeah. We flew into Minnesota on Thursday. On Friday morning, I got a text from one of my friends who's a journalist at World Socialist website, who I met on the picket line when SAG was on strike 2 years ago, asking if I would do an interview for their May Day rally, which is tomorrow, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But and I was saying, like, I feel like the country, and he was asking me as a union member, I've been a union member since 1993, a SAG union member, what it's like, because the film industry has been totally decimated. The strike shut everything down. And then production, it's not like, it's over and now everybody goes back to work. There's no jobs, right? You're still like hoping to get a job. You're working to get work. And I said, I feel like the whole country now understands what it's like to be in the entertainment industry, where like you work really hard and you do all the right things, but you might just never get a job. Like it just might happen that way. And he said, yeah, but at the same time I was saying that, we sort of cross-talked, and he said, Los Angeles is getting the Detroit treatment. Like we are now understanding, even though, I mean, obviously, I think most actors in this town have understood what it's like to live in that kind of economic precarity for years. Like, unless you're fabulously successful, and one of the very few, I think like 92% of actors don't even make enough money to get health insurance. And I think you have to make like $10,000 for the year. But this is the domino effect of what everybody in power has done to us. They've just sold us out. So
yeah, and I mean, another thing we haven't talked about yet is the tourism, and so LA relies a lot on tourism,
mm,
and you just can't dry up every industry. It's
yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
why would someone want to come to LA from another country, especially if you're not a white person, because you
Yeah.
run the risk of, oh, I lost my passport, I got deported to an El Salvadorian prison.
I mean, by the way, 2 white German young women went to Hawaii, and I guess they were going to be there for several weeks, but they had only like planned their itinerary and booked hotels or how rooms for a couple of the weeks, and that felt kind of sketch to the border patrol, and they deported them back. Why would anybody come to this country? I mean, truly. And by the way, I mean, like, it is the number of Europeans traveling to the US has cratered. I mean, we are just, and that's one of our huge income industries, right? It's like that's our like soft power export, is the glow of the fantasy of what the American dream is and how cool it is to be here, and whatever lies we've sold to ourselves in the world. But nobody thinks that about us on any level now. It's actually terrifying.
And I mean, not just Europe, Canada is a major
Yeah.
tourist industry for all the border states. And that's our ally. We've just been telling them to get fucked for 100 days now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been telling them. Mexico, apparently, Las Vegas is like, nobody's coming to Vegas anymore. Like, places that rely entirely on tourism and the things that they sell at those places. So not only are tourists not coming, but also very soon, if not already, anything that you have and sell that isn't 100% manufactured with every single part, all of it here, is going to skyrocket if it hasn't already because of Trump's tariffs. Or they're just not going to be coming in. I just
Yeah. Well, Vegas relies on U.S. tourism a lot too. And, when the economy is this bad, that's one reason people in the States aren't going to fly as much. But then you got the real ID coming in. So they're like, do I have a real ID? There's that piece. The other thing is, look at flights. You're deregulating everything, and people are scared to fly just because of fucking our lack of public safety anymore.
I mean,
like,
there was a video of passengers on I think a Delta flight holding the ceiling was coming down inside the plane during the flight. Yeah, Daniel says in Vegas right now for work, can confirm it's empty. I wonder if the prices are cheaper. But like, how long is this all gonna last? How many people are gonna be living in their cars? There was a video, we have so much to get to, but anyway, of a city councilman in Aspen talking about how billionaires have taken over the city. They get workers from other countries to come, and they say they'll buy off their debt and hire them to work in the ski resort. But then they are put in a room where, if they're not sharing a bed, they're definitely sharing a room with like 6 or 7 other people, sharing a toilet. Their wages are garnished before, like, oh, we're paying you this, but the room costs this much. And of course, they will never be able to pay that off. So it's human trafficking. And these are billionaires in a billionaire, playground in Aspen. And a lot of these people, if they aren't part of the, room where 7 people are scrunched together like, sardines, they sleep in their cars in the lot, and the lots check to make sure they're actually employed by there to allow them to sleep in their cars. So they all know what's happening. You're working for this billionaire guy and you sleep in your car, but you can only have the privilege of being in this lot if you prove to us that you're working for him. Then you can be homeless right here. Otherwise, we're going to arrest you.
Well, my little piece that I can relate to on that is when I worked in the casinos in Tahoe, which is part of Nevada, but sort of, California side. It's on the California coast. But casinos use the visa programs to bring in employees to do the housekeeping jobs, to
Yep.
do change in some of the less skilled, kind of jobs or whatever you want to call them. But they paid these people nothing, and they did the same thing. They put them in these little housing apartment complex things with like six to a place that would normally fit 2 people.
Yep.
And paying them nothing. And this is not some skilled visa exemption. It's like it was literally just a reason to give a casino that just can print fucking money.
Yep.
Cheaper labor.
100%. It is serfdom, modern serfdom. It is a form of slavery. And as we all know, they do this. They love giving these visas to people or smuggling them in because they know that they are desperate to escape the places that we ruined for them. Our country has ruined for them, where they're escaping from their home countries. And then they come here and they will never speak up because, they'll be deported. So you've got somebody who will be a good little soldier in your workforce. It is all by design. Like it's just all by design. It's unbelievable that this has been allowed to continue. And as with every revolting, grotesque, fascist development under Trump, it has been a bipartisan project. That is where we are. All right. Speaking of, should we talk about how the Democrats are fighting the fascism?
We can pretend they are.
Yeah, let's
go
talk
there.
about it. It's really important. Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker staged a 12-hour sit-in, stand-in, whatever, little speech sermon on the steps of the Capitol. I think on the steps of the Capitol. Anyway, and this is Jeffries' big plea.
We got to press on for our children. Press on for our seniors. Press on for our dreamers. Press on for our veterans. Press on for Medicare. Press on for Social Security. Press on for Medicaid. Press on for working families. Press on for the middle class. Press on for the poor. Press on for the sick. Press on for the afflicted. Press on for the least. Press on for the lost. Press on for the left behind. Press on for social justice. Press on for racial justice. Press on for economic justice. Press on for freedom. Press on for democracy. Press on until victory is won. God bless you.
What does that mean? What does
It's
it mean?
literally pressing on so that we win the midterms in their mind. It's all about the midterms. It's not doing a fucking thing.
Not a single policy. They're like, oh, we have to talk about cuts to Medicaid. That's inspiring. Let's talk about the cuts to Medicaid. 12 hours of that. Not any prescriptive affirmative policy. Nothing. Just we've got to do better than the worst people in the world who we ushered into power just a couple months ago. So, as we have all been talking about the Bernie oligarchy tour, Bernie and AOC, again, whatever we may think about what Bernie will end up doing, which we all know, the fact that he is getting so many people who formerly were either Republican voters or non-voters or were sort of mainstream liberal voters who thought he wasn't electable and you just have to vote blue no matter who. And he's getting people on this Fight the Oligarchy tour to show up in droves. It is massively popular. People like this message. They want this message. He is naming the enemy, which are the oligarchs, the billionaires. He's naming them and saying, that's what we're fighting. They don't want you to have healthcare. They don't want you to have a living wage. They don't want you to have a roof over your head or a dignified life. And that is enormously appealing. And instead, this is what you have the press on guy saying on MSNBC.
You've seen those huge crowds that Bernie Sanders and AOC have gotten at their Fighting Oligarchy tour. Is that where the energy of the Democratic Party is right now? Is it with the progressive left? Is that the direction the party's going to turn?
I think the energy of the Democratic Party right now is across the board, and everyone has made that observation that this is not a right-left moment. It's a moment of right versus wrong.
Press on, baby.
Look, even if you don't mean a single fucking thing you say, there's no denying you should be saying what Bernie's saying if you want to win. That's the whole point. Like, Bernie's full of shit too, because he's not actually going to hold his party to it, and we'll get to some of that. But like, his message should be the party message. It's won over the public for 10 years now.
Yep. You know, and I just keep coming back to I mean, obviously we know they're working for their donors. They're not working for us. They don't want to win if it means losing their fat donations and, you know, fancy whatever Hampton parties and all that kind of stuff. Just the way I don't want to win just because it's a D in front of the name. So like, I understand that mentality, but they're fighting for nothing. They're just Republicans with like not even better messaging at all. I thought it was
well, they're trying to shut down the messaging that's working. Like the one guy who went to El Salvador, you know, to actually do something, to show up, and not that he got him out, but like, you know, that's what fighting looks like. And Hakeem Jeffries is out here saying, let's not do any more of that stuff.
Yeah, that's too contentious. Why would you do that? Cory Booker and the Hispanic caucus were planning on going, but Democratic leadership seems to want El Salvador trips to stop for a while. Jeffries may be publicly agnostic. Why would you be agnostic? Like, what in the God's name is wrong with these people? Truly, what is he pressing on for?
Indifferent about the due process Americans should have.
Nope. Yeah. No. Press on. Press on. He sees the trips as having run their course. 2 Democratic aides and a lawmaker who spoke to the Bulwark said that the minority leader has discouraged further excursions to the country, even as pressure mounts within the party to turn up the heat on Trump. They want to let the El Salvador stuff slow down, a senior House staffer said.
And these are the guys that told us that Trump was a Nazi even when they weren't being Nazis.
Yeah.
But now that they're actually being Nazis, and now that fascism is here and we're
relax.
Yeah.
Calm down.
We basically, you know what it is? It's like they know that they can win in the midterms no matter what if things are still fucking bad. But if they do anything and fix it now and get him to change course, then maybe the public's going to start to think, oh, it's not as bad now because they changed something, you know.
Yeah.
Like save the problems for the midterm.
Right. Yeah. I wonder what the other part of it is. I mean, I do think obviously, you know, everything always comes back to money, right? So like on some level, the deportations, the fear in immigrant workers, the sublimation of due process and free speech, the chilling of protests, like they're big donors, whether it's AIPAC or, I mean, AIPAC. But like that is making everybody feel like, let's just see where everything falls. But we certainly are not, we're way better off being the collaborators and complicit than ever really showing a drop of true resistance, not like lib resistance. They are not into any of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just money, because if they rallied us to actually shut down Trump and kick him out of office or something, that changes the policy, all these corporate handouts. Especially, I'm surprised there isn't a leaked memo saying, don't fight Trump until he passes his tax cuts for the rich. Like, then wait till that goes through, and then we'll go a little harder on him, you know, something like
exactly.
that.
Yeah. And also, like, I mean, there is, sorry, I'm seeing a comment about Eddie Murphy, and like Eddie Murphy delirious, like goes through my head almost every single day. So I'm going to read it in a second, but I just want to, I wanted to focus on what you said, but my eyes just crossed. So sorry. What was the last thing you just said? Eddie Murphy, like if somebody says it all of a sudden, I'm like, look.
I was telling a Bobby Knight joke.
Yeah. Pat, what were you just saying? It was a really good point and I missed it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that the Democrats don't really want to, that they would want to wait until Trump tax cuts are passed before damaging his brand more.
Yep. Yeah.
Because they want these to pass. So like if the public is so against him, it gives Republicans themselves the couple in the House they need to stand aside and push back against him. That might be a reason to push back against him when, God, we need those tax cuts for the billion.
Because remember how they fought against the repeal of the SALT tax? I mean, and by the way, just as a reminder, again, I know we all know, but like, you know, Biden had more billionaires donating to his campaign in 2020 than anybody else. Kamala Harris had more billions sent to her, spent more on her campaign to lose. I mean, yeah, they are absolutely having no, there's no feeling of urgency with them about any of this. And that actually is so revealing. That's totally clarifying. If they're not now, and like, the world is on fire.
Yeah, and there is no, if they had the power to stop any of the bad things he's doing, if they hurt him politically, they would not stop them.
No,
is what it comes down to. They would not stop the deportations. They're like, ooh, let him show his ass. That's all they care about, because this is the midterms. Look, this is the thing that's unfortunate about all this. They can win seats in the midterms by doing this strategy, and they will. But that's why we can't fucking wait on them to do anything, because this will work for them to get back in power. Doing nothing at all, co-signing half of what he does, but being 5% better than him will get them back in power, because our economy is going to be fucked in 2 years.
Yeah. And so all they're doing right now, because they do, I mean, just remember that right after Trump won and had his whole, you know, the oligarchy right behind him, the first thing that Jeffries did was fly out to Silicon Valley to repair damage that he thought the Democratic Party had done with the tech, you know, billionaires in Silicon Valley. That was his first order of business. Which is why,
this whole like two guys on the steps, you know, two black guys in their black sweats, and they're leaning into this identity politics thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going there, and to them, that's like contrary, because they're like, oh, it's a white nation, so we're going to push back on that. We're not a white nation. We're the party of people again.
We're woke.
But let me tell you, like, African Americans hate both those fuckers a lot, like in general. Like Jeffries, they don't know about as much, but they've hated Booker. Yeah. Booker is not popular at all with African Americans, you know, like.
Yeah. Not at all. You guys, okay. Okay. So there's so much going on. So first of all, Justin, thank you for the super chat. And I'm really looking forward to watching that documentary on the settlers. And I'm hoping that we can, you know, we keep having to sort of have such a smattering of a show where we're trying to touch on everything. And I feel like we've sort of allowed what's happening continues to happen. I mean, right now, what's happening in Gaza and in the West Bank is just assassinations, just like target practice for these monsters. And it gets no news coverage. Nobody's talking about it, but I very much am looking forward to watching The Settlers, which I think I'll be watching tomorrow. And I've seen lots of clips. I wonder where this is going to lead, because the assault on free speech persists. I mean, it's just insane. I don't know. I am very nervous. And thank you being a member for 7 months. And thank you to Macarius for the membership. Thank you all. We always want to do that when it happens, because otherwise we tend to lose track as we dive into our rant. So thank you. So, as you were just saying, that a lot of Black Americans are not into the two people who are trying to like hold that identity up right now to show that they're somehow, you know, not part of the system, even though they uphold it every chance they get. I thought it was interesting, this little snippet of a comment that Charlemagne Lagarde had about Jeffries with all of this.
I think it's ridiculous even when they try to say things, you know, all these conversations about oligarchy. Now, Bernie and AOC, they can go out there and say fight the oligarchy.
Yes.
Hakeem Jeffries, you can't say that. Okay? Like, cut it out. We know that you've taken so much money from corporate donors. So it's just weird to see them, you know, push back against oligarchy now and say, look at the billionaires controlling Trump. It's like, really?
Yeah, I mean,
you, Hakeem, really? Chuck Schumer, really?
I mean, by the way, he ended up like endorsing Kamala, and he was a jerk to Jill Stein and all of that. So like, I'm not, you know, like a big fan of his overall, but every once in a while, a morsel of truth comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, and look, I don't think he's ever done anything disingenuous. It's just I don't agree with some of his positions.
Yeah.
But I think he does have people on and try to have a real discussion, you know. And
yeah, I thought the way they treated Jill Stein was actually really repulsive. Like
I do too, but I don't think it was. It wasn't him. It was people on his show.
Yeah.
And I get that there's a piece that if you want to craft a way to attack somebody, you don't do it as the host.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah. But yeah, so we've had, you know, and now it just continues like on corporate media, all they do is talk about how there are all these people coming out to Bernie and AOC rallies and how that's really not the way to go if you want to win. It's just bizarre to me that because they know that's a lie. I mean, there's no way that Carville and Slotkin and all the, you know, millionaire hosts on these corporate media shows don't know what the truth is. They know that is wildly popular. They just subscribe to the Chris, what's his name? You know, who was on MSNBC. By the way, the last clip or a couple ago, it was ABC, not MSNBC, but Matthews. Remember when he was like so worried that if Bernie won, he'd be, you know, pilloried and
So I've been watching a lot of CNN, MSNBC, etc. this week.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're gone. It's a mess.
It's a mess. You've gone total lib. No,
I was craving your centrist position.
That's me.
But no, like every time they have a panel on or every time they talk to a Democrat, they lob up the question so that the Democrat can diffuse it. So it seems like all the energy in your party is with AOC and Bernie, which is unfortunately sort of true, but
I know.
Anyway, but it's set up to like, tell us why you should not really be supporting that. It's not like, hey, why aren't you supporting your people? They don't follow up with, well, but those things are popular. Those policies, you know, are popular. They never followed up. It's just like a lob up here. See if you can diffuse this. We're going to keep trying to diffuse this.
Yep.
Eventually someone's going to come out with something that kind of sticks on this, but it won't.
I just like the teams going on here. No, I'm kidding. And people saying that you moved right, which obviously is a joke. No, but
why I left the left is going to be an
speaking of, just as a quick interjection, next week we are going to have on a friend who is working on a documentary about his time at TYT trying to unionize and the pushback, especially as Cenk was running for Congress. So we're really excited about that. We'll let you know more, but that will be next Wednesday. All right. Okay. So
let's show a few clips of the people going after Bernie on mainstream media here.
And Bernie's annoying. Now, if I were a Democrat, he basically hibernates when Democrats are in power. Mm-hmm. And then the second Democrats lose power, he's out there on a world tour.
Okay, that's actually not the right clip for the moment.
That is the craziest. That's like the broken clock. I mean, that's Jesse Waters on Fox. But he's absolutely right. Because for anybody to be talking about oligarchs now, like Biden didn't have them all lined up behind him. But anyway, go ahead. So it's the DNCL. Do you want me to press play?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So here we go.
Let me ask you about something that your colleague, Senator Alyssa Slotkin, said. She said Democrats should stop using the term oligarchy because it's a phrase that doesn't resonate with all Americans. Are you missing a chance to speak to a wider audience, Senator?
Well, geez, we had 36,000 people out in Los Angeles, 34,000 people in Colorado. We had 30,000 people in Folsom, California, which is kind of a rural area. I think the American people are not quite as dumb as Ms. Slotkin thinks they are.
It's kind of harsh the way he worded that, that the American people are not as dumb as he says you think they are. Do you have a response?
Yeah, look, I have no problem with what he's doing and what he's saying, all those things. Frankly, I agree with it. It was just the term, right? My dad asked me what oligarchy meant, and I just said, America has no king. So I think the media likes to talk about a difference of opinion on a word, but there's no doubt that galvanizing energy around what's going on right now is a positive thing. I just want to work together, right? Together to actually counter this threat as opposed to Democrats turning their guns on each other.
Well, it's not the media. It's Bernie Sanders saying it. I'm not the one saying it. I'm just playing what Bernie Sanders said. All right.
I just take issue with one thing that Senator Sanders and Congressman Cortez do. Don't call it oligarchs. No one knows that. People know what fat cats are. They know what billionaires are. Okay?
Right.
This is the billionaire bailout bill. And, you know, like the Better Business Bureau. If we should just stay focused on these two things and fight like crazy, and maybe they might pass them, but they're going to pay one hell of a political price if they do.
Yeah, you're saying go.
Everybody knows what an oligarch is. And when they said billionaires, not Bernie, I mean, or whatever, you know, billionaires own the other people, they don't own Bernie or whatever, you know, he used to say, they didn't like that either. Oh, class war. You will never win with these people who preach unity, because the unity they want is not with us. They are our enemies. They hate us. They have been fighting class war against us for decades. There's no winning these semantic words.
But these people are such fucking clowns because they should just take up his messaging. He's where the energy is. It's beyond a doubt with Bernie and company. And but it's just showing that you don't want to win.
I mean, you're gonna take advice from the guy who thought what's his name? Gore was running a good campaign, and Kerry was running a good campaign, and Hillary was running a good campaign. And back when Howard Dean was, I don't know if he actually was sort of on the left or pretending or whatever, but when he was presenting that way, they hated him. And what you needed to do was be more like John Kerry. I mean, they are losers.
Told everybody for a year that Trump was cooked. It was over. Trump's cooked. It's done. This guy's the guy you're to listen to. This guy.
And then he's like, everybody knows what fat cats is. Like, whatever. It's just so dishonest, and they know it.
And look, the language matters because oligarchy is saying we have a whole system that's bad.
Exactly.
If you just take that out and you say fat cats, it's like, oh, it's just Trump's rich friends.
You don't want other people to have money. Yeah.
It's
Trump's exactly.
Rich friends. It's not a systemic thing, but oligarchy is like, we have a system that needs changing. It's takes you one step deeper.
And it gets the worst people upset, right? So like, if you actually think that Republicans are your opposition, which of course Democrats don't, but if you do, and then you see somebody like Kevin O'Leary saying that AOC is the enemy of the American dream, you know you've hit a target, right?
You become that meme of the guy pointing, it's an oligarch.
Yeah.
You know that one meme? What's the meme? You know, the guy pointing at the TV. Come on, actor for the LA movie. Come on. From Titanic. Who's the guy in Titanic?
Oh, the DiCaprio. But that wasn't
DiCaprio pointing from his chair. That could be the meme. No, but you're like
Django Unchained. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it was from the LA.
It was
acting movie.
All right.
Anyway,
Once Upon a Time.
My point is, you could Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Thank you. You could point out there's the oligarchy on TV and the media is giving him a platform. It's like, aha.
Yeah. And
oligarchy.
You see that. So that's not Casey Hunt, was it? That interviewer from MSNBC or whatever it was, whatever, just one of their talking heads who's a multimillionaire to toe the line. She's like, I'm not saying it. I didn't say it. I'm just telling you what Bernie said. But she's not saying like people can't afford to live anymore. If you're a reporter, a journalist, if you want anybody to have any belief in your ability to convey the reality of what is happening in this country, then you say like, well, he's clearly hitting a nerve. And not, well, I didn't say it, Bernie did. Like, what kind of reporting is that? Then you've got this, what's her name? Abby Phillip talking to Kevin O'Leary, a big Republican, Shark Tank, miserable cretin. And she's asking the same question, but he's a Republican. But still, she knows where her bread's buttered. So,
you know, the ambassador of America, the CEO, the president, they have to embody the American dream. That's their number one job. Our number one export is not technology or energy. It's the American dream. People come to America to achieve the American dream. She embodies the American nightmare. And so she could never, ever, because she doesn't believe that people should succeed in wealth. And this is a huge problem for her. What makes America so...
Only success is not wealth. I mean, she came from very modest backgrounds. She was a waitress. I mean, I think that story, a lot of people would say that is the American dream. I think that is what...
She does not support capitalism.
No, well, I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is like, what if she's a democratic socialist, but that's that. But what if some Americans say the most important thing is not facilitating the rich getting richer? That is literally the message she's running on.
You just tainted the American dream with that statement. Do you understand that? You tainted what makes America work. You should take that back. I forgive you for that. I forgive you for that. Don't ever say that again.
All I am suggesting, Kevin, is that there are many Americans who work really hard, and their aspiration is not to become supremely wealthy. It is to have strong family units. It is to have community. It is to have a sense of purpose. It is to contribute to their environment. There are many Americans for whom just being filthy rich is not the American dream.
I want to forgive you, but
that?
you're making it hard.
But do you understand that? I mean,
she's a democratic socialist, whatever. But I will say at least, I mean, it was the smallest bit of pushback. It really does feel like, you know, Vichy Dems, like they're just sitting with the Nazis at the table. Like, I don't like the way you did that, Adolf, but okay. Like, it's none of this is a joke. People are living in their cars.
Yeah. And I mean, I take issue with the whole thing. Like, so they're painting this capitalism versus democratic socialism, and like, but they're painting socialism as like by default. She's saying like, well, what if you don't have anything but you're just happy? Like that's socialism or something, you know? Like, no, it actually includes some housing. It includes things that would make people happy. Socialism isn't saying live and be friendly with your neighbors and not have a fucking thing and be happy, which is the way they want to present it. Like,
I mean, every picture they try to create of how evil socialism is what we are actually living through, where people are on the streets, the grocery stores are empty. I mean, capitalism is a cancer. It's eating itself. It's like never ending, insatiable growth that is a death cult. And
we've gone so far with it that businesses literally are expected to grow at a rate that's impossible indefinitely. Like if your company doesn't grow at 10% or whatever it is a year, it's failing. And that's not how you judge a business. Like if I had a business on the corner selling bread and I sold the same amount of bread every year, but my employees are all eating and fed and they can afford to live somewhere. Like I don't need to sell 10% more bread, because if I have to sell 10% more bread, then I have to cut the product. I have to cut the labor force somehow. Everything has to be shittier. which is what capitalism does. Everything every year has to be shittier for the public.
What was the Instapot? I think it was Instapot that was, people were loving it for a while, but it was manufactured so well that it wasn't breaking every 11 months for people to have to replace. And that was, so people didn't have to replace it often, which meant that it was a failure as a business.
Yeah, I forget what they called that. Planned obsolescence, maybe? No, I don't know. But I studied some of that in industrial design, where like pantyhose were one of the first things they figured out. Like they could have made pantyhose to last a long time,
right?
But by design, then what?
Yeah. What are you gonna
do?
So
they just make them shitty, so that you have to keep buying them over and over and over.
Wow, it's
That's
just
capitalism.
It's capitalism, and it's truly disgraceful. All right, we are going to move on to there's too many things we still need to just get to really quickly. This is a blip, but here's another guy fighting hard for us.
Of all the crazy things the Republicans want to do now, they want a car tax? Hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no. You know, the David Hogg debate is really interesting because, first of all, I think it's all like a big kayfabe anyway. He said it, you know, right away. There was a push
to set up. Well, I think we should. Some people don't know who David Hogg is. David Hogg is the guy that used to be gun control. He's part of the shooting. Grew up, became
from Parkland in Florida.
The Parkland shooting, sorry, and now he is the vice DNC chair.
Right, exactly. And he said he was going to push to primary Democrats who aren't fighting, but who are in safe seats. So, like, basically, no biggie. And then he also said, but not people who are really effective, like Nancy Pelosi, who's one of the most corrupt Democrats, right? But then he got some pushback from the Black Caucus, like Donna Brazile, saying, well, some of those safe seats are held by women and Black women or Black men. And so now that's going to be a bad look, Mr. Hogg, if you are going to push against people who have struggled to be here, but they are not white men. And then he said, no, I would never do that. So now also safe is Hakeem Jeffries, Cory Booker, right? So like the world of safe Democrats who shouldn't be touched. And also he said it has nothing to do with policy. It has to do with your fight. What the fuck does that mean? Like, what are you even talking about? But so it's become this whole thing, which is, I think, only meant to divert attention, right? It's just another like look over here situation. I get emails from him. It's fucking infuriating. Like, that's a fight. Thanks. That's what I need.
If it's intentional, it's a bad look for Democrats anyway. So, and they're going to out him, or they're going to soften him so much publicly, which is what's going on now. They're all just like, not this, not that. So you really are. He's one of us now. Now he's finally on board, so it doesn't matter
AOC.
anyway.
Yeah.
But it's a bad look because, you know, a lot of young people do look to him in this as a young guy in this position and think maybe there's some potential that the party's going to change somewhat, 5%. And the Democratic Party just jumps out of the bushes and says, nope, we're not changing 5%. Fuck you, rotten hell.
Yep. And even just having the temerity to say the words out loud, to put that thought in the public's head is enough that now they're threatening to oust him. There's going to be somebody coming forward who's going to try to take his seat, and maybe he'll be recalled, or maybe, you know.
Well, and they're using it. It's a native person somehow and saying that he didn't have the right opportunity during the process when he ran. So they're rewinding the tape to like unfair things 6 months ago.
Yeah. And David Hogg's just a white guy. They're going to make him just a white guy. And they'll do the ick factor on him, just the way they did on Bernie, that he wasn't, you know, he was just an old white guy. Like they keep using the same tactics. Yeah. Sorry.
I think what it highlights to actual progressives, at least, is this guy was never one of us, but he was like a smidge on our side. And then they just said, get the fuck out of here, you piece of shit. You're done. Then So there's no hope in reforming the party, because if this guy can't even get his little lukewarm milk toast, whatever changes, and they're saying, oh, well, he won't sign the pledge. There's a new pledge that you won't primary incumbents, blah, blah, blah. The party itself broke all their rules about backing candidates to back Republicans against progressives within the party. So, the rule thing is just such bullshit.
100%. I mean, they were fine with the same consultant groups that helped oust Cory Bush and Jamal Bowman. They've not been blacklisted, right? I thought we weren't supposed to primary Democrats. And then in order to hope to be the head of the oversight committee, AOC said that she would sign a pledge not to back people who are primarying other Democrats. So she said she'll do that. So basically, I will swallow all the shit you throw down my mouth. They still gave it to that Jerry Connolly guy, who is now, he's done absolutely nothing to hold Republicans to account. And now, shocker, I mean, he's got an advanced stage of cancer. In his mid-70s. He is resigning.
He's been a no-show in every way for 100 days. And now the person they're looking to replace him with is 87 years old, which on its own is not, I don't care. You could be 100 and still be a good person. But you can't on the left side be taking this young energy guy, David Hogg, and saying you got to go.
Right.
And then replace your cancer-ridden guy who stopped AOC to replace him with an 87-year-old and still come out and say we're the future,
hope and change. Let's do it.
It's just their messaging is terrible. Their optics are terrible. Their policies are terrible. They have 0.0 integrity, and they show it every fucking day. And they're still going to win in the midterms, which is why electoral politics is a dead fucking end.
We got a solution.
Yeah.
Well, 2028. All right. Let's is there any other Dem thing, or should we spin the wheel? Where are we? Well, there's the thing with Liz Warren lying about the Biden dementia, but we can get to that after. Should we spin? I feel like we should spin. It's been a while, right?
We should, but I got one clip I got to show because it's Adam Schiff, and I hate him personally so much.
Yeah.
Let's just Adam Schiff it.
The Democrats are really faced with this fundamental choice. You have Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one poll. They're energizing voters. Tens of thousands of people are coming out to their rallies. And a lot of people will look at a big rally and say that translates to a majority. I think the opportunity for Democrats is to say we are the party of sanity and normality. We want the country that we had, respected around the world, a magnet for talent, a country that respects the rule of law, understands due process, understands that due process might apply also to bad guys. That's exactly what it's what it's for. That we don't want an attack on the jewels of American education using specious or increasingly specious alibis. That's the sweet spot for the Democrats. And they're Democrats like you, like Seth Moulton, like Richie Torres in the Bronx, like Senator Fetterman, who are there ready to pick up that mantle. I hope the Democrats listen to that side of the party and not the side that's throwing out tens of thousands of people at rallies.
Imagine getting that kind of consultation. I hope you listen to the most corrupt, fading, piece of shit, awful Dems, and not to the
not the popular people. Don't listen to the and this is a Republican saying, I hope you don't listen to the popular people in your party.
And by the way,
let's not do that.
Liberal New York Times gave him a foothold in their reading, audience by bringing a climate denier into their fold as one of their leading op-ed writers. They gave him legitimacy amongst liberals. That was the New York Times. Also, I just wanted to thank Justin and Deborah before, that woman who I said I thought was, I don't know who anyway, Katie Tur. Thank you. But yeah, let's listen to Fetterman. Oh my God. And of course, Bill Maher has him on. That was Bill Maher, wasn't it? Was that a Bill Maher clip?
Of course. But Fetterman, where was We had a slide
he's-
on him. His campaign is tanking like crazy.
Good, because he's disgusting. He's absolutely repulsive. He's a liar, corrupt as hell, and takes, hundreds of thousands of dollars from AIPAC and has absolutely no integrity or principles at all. So
I really hope he's like on the path to get a job on MSNBC advising Democrats. Like,
the qualification is, how many contests have you lost? How
Right.
many people don't come to your rallies? Yeah. Okay. We are going to spin, and then we will move on.
Oh, we
Are we
pushed it
both
at the same
pushing it?
time.
I know. Oh my
Nope.
God.
Push the wheel. I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah, baby.
And again.
I'm calling an audible on the filler up, and you should call whatever audible you want.
I'm calling an audible. We can't show 2 Zens in a row. That's just not going to work.
I hear you.
People need some pets, so let's do some pets.
Me tocó una familia latina.
So lonely, Mr. Lonely. I have no. Going down to the railway station, gonna get a ticket to ride. Look at this distinguished gentleman. Look at the way he is sitting. Yes, very distinguished. I see, I see.
I love when it looks like they've sidled up to the bar and they're like their elbows on one side. It just makes me laugh. Okay, moving on. Let's
what do we got?
so we
GOP
kind
or
of
economy
jumped
or-
we got out in front of our toes, as the athletic skiers say, and the 100 days of Trump is, I think, this week, not last week, but we did it last week. But anyway, the polls aren't great. 100, this is Breaking Points did like an amalgamation of all the different polls, and whether it's ABC or Pew or New York Times or Reuters or YouGov, Fox, Harvard Kennedy, he is underwater on all of them. When they dig into his lowest rating of anybody except 2017 Trump, right? I think he's still.
Yeah, he's lost to himself in a couple areas.
Yeah.
But he is in the absolute shitter for this phase of the presidency.
Yeah.
And there's no coming back from it, because all the tariff things and things that are going to hurt the economy, they're going to start hitting in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then 2 months from now, people are going to be like, holy fucking shit, everything is fucked. Everything is so fucking expensive already. And that's all we're going to hear about until the election in the midterm.
And he just lies. Like, he did this big, I think it was on ABC with Terry Moran interview yesterday, and he just lies. He's like, prices are down. Best, it's the best economy we've had. I'm doing deals with all these countries. Which countries? Well, I can't tell you. And he's really upset about these polls. So, okay, there's another thing also with each of the different policies separated out, whether it's, the economy or immigration, federal government, war between Russia and Ukraine, which he said he could end in 24 hours, still happening, trade with other countries, foreign conflicts, the deportations, like all of it are negative for him. And economy coming in was the one thing that people were excited about with him. They thought he could, because he's a businessman, whatever. And also deportations, which is vile. And only became popular on the, left side of the spectrum amongst Democrats because of the Biden regime signing on wholeheartedly to basically deportations and labeling people who are seeking asylum and people who are coming here as immigrants as being, illegal.
Yeah, and it highlights to me why it matters to stand up to for your values, because they only push this tough on crime border policy kind of issue because they thought politically they needed to, right?
Mhm.
That's why they pushed it, which then normalized the fuck out of it, which then made everybody in the country sort of go, oh, there's a lot of crime associated with the immigrants,
Right.
you know,
Which is a lie.
which
That's
is
a
not
lie.
true. That's the point. It's not true.
Yeah.
They didn't fight back. They didn't stand up for anything. They just said, it's easy politically to just go along with that thing because we're losing on that thing.
They're just, I mean,
Even though they were trying
power, no, they're just complicit. They're just like the most repulsive people because they pretend that they have some care for humanity. And then every chance they get, the word I keep hearing is they glaze the Republicans. But
the minute they don't fight for it, it normalizes it, because so many people have been trained for so long to think good guy leftists care about people, Democrats. And when the Democrats are going, even we think the immigration is it's gone too far, then it's just like, oh, okay, a lot of centrists are just like, there's a problem at the border. I just, I'm socially liberal, fiscally conservative, like it's just no thinking involved. It's just well, that good guys think that way. So
I mean, that's the only job of Democrats, actually, right? Fight the left, crush the left, and pave the way for the right. So they did it with the border, they did it with immigrants, they did it with cops, they did it with defund the police, they did it with a fucking genocide. They did it, I mean, like protesters. We don't even talk about healthcare as a human right. We don't talk about a living wage. They crush a Green New Deal. Has anybody even talked about the environment? Like they have destroyed every single massively popular policy. And still, when you talk to people and you don't just say like if I say, oh, I'm a socialist, I'm a leftist, whatever, people, will kind of give you a look and you're like, well, this is what it means. And once you start explaining what the terms are, turns out most of the country, Republican, Democrat, independent, non-voters agree. And Democrats know that, which is why they're always going to argue this semantics. Oh, billionaires, it's class war. Oh, oligarchy, nobody understands.
It's such a big word.
It's so difficult. Yeah. We're going to send people back to the dictionary. Really, the tens of thousands of people showing up absolutely understand. But it is only the people in power and the people who still watch these cable news shows or, read the New York Times who have been told like, well, is it so bad to drill? We're going to frack a little more. If we get to 3 degrees Celsius, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Like all of that. That is what Democrats do. They make people feel comfortable with fascism.
Yeah. And the media people that make it on the left, that are considered left, CNN and MSNBC left, they're not activists. They've never been connected to people on living real lives. Like they're not impacted because they're millionaires, living they're like the poorest people in their bubble of people. And everyone else in that bubble is like, hey, Bernie's a joke. Leftist stuff is a joke. Like and that's what they hear every day. Cause they're not amongst us. This is class warfare with everyone in media, in mainstream media, really.
100%. They're all on the side of the same people. They all party in the same place. They all attend the same suites, whatever. Remember this the audible sigh of I can't remember which journalist it was on, I think CNN or MSNBC, when one of the returns came back in the primaries in 2020 and Bernie had like swept, and she was like, like, I mean, they hate us. It's so important to know they hate us. So I know we all know, but like, that is the energy you have to match them with. They are not on our side. And anybody who voted for genocide is never going to be on the side of democracy. It's like you that ship sailed out by done. So, okay. Trump is so mad. Yeah, go ahead.
To bring that back, that's AOC and Bernie. Okay.
Yep.
They're not different on that. They are pretend different. Like they would still send all the bombs if you just got Netanyahu out. And who are you going to replace Netanyahu with in Israel? Like he's
kinder, gentler.
He's not moderate in Israeli politics now. But he is moderate. But he's moderate because most of the Israeli government wants him to be worse on Palestine.
And most of the country, even though there are some people who are refusing to, they're going to jail instead of going to the to join the IDF, which, you know, the law is that you have to go to the IDF when you're 18 and do service. So they're going to jail instead of that. There are, I think it's like 2 or 3% of the country that's anti this genocide. But the protests against Netanyahu are against, you know, not doing enough to bring back the hostages, against some of the sort of judicial plays that he made before October 7th that would consolidate the power of his, you know, very far right coalition. But it's not a country that in any significant way is against a genocide. So for Bernie to keep saying Netanyahu's far right government, that is the government. That's the country. They have been so indoctrinated to see Palestinians as vermin.
Yeah. And Netanyahu isn't committing genocide. Israel is committing genocide. Yeah. And I understand you want to separate it from the people in the country, but you need to say that the government, not just this one guy, is sort of like, it's like removing Trump from the US and suddenly the US is, the Republican Party is good, or
like he's some outlier.
Right. It's not that.
Yeah.
And as Anna mentioned, hit the like button. Appreciate it. I don't do this stuff enough, but But while we're here, leave us a comment on YouTube on something, please.
Yeah, and also I because there was another I wanted to thank, because I know Brad like very at the top said please remember to do that. So thank you to Brad. And just as we're taking like a small break in between all of the devastation, we are really excited that on Sunday we are starting our series with Zainab, who's going to be co-hosting with us for several Sundays in a row, an in-depth look at the tech bro fascist complex, the oligarchy, and all of that, and what it means, whether it's these company towns or the mass surveillance, or, you know, warfare by AI, or cop cities taking over media, taking over social media, PayPal mafia, the ties to apartheid South Africa, the deep racism, the incels. We're really trying to go deep into it. So it keeps taking us longer because we'll find another wormhole that we go down. There is so much to talk about, but we're really excited to be doing this in partnership with Zainab and her bullhorn. Oh God, did I just say it wrong? Sorry. Bulletin. My brain. Too much wine. We're gonna have,
so that'll be our Sunday show for a while. We're gonna share it. It'll be cross-platform with us and Zainab, who's amazing. She works with Status Q also, but you know, it's gonna be great. It's
and dig in more. Like, every single part of everything we're talking about. Yeah. Okay, so we are really excited. It's gonna be great. Okay, so let's just go to back to Trump. he's very upset about his polls. He has floated the idea of investigating the media outlets who publish these polls because he calls it election interference, because the polls must be lies because they're so bad and it's going to hurt his chances, I guess, in the midterms. And when the reports come like, oh, the U.S. economy shrinks for the first time in 3 years, Trump blames Biden. This is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. I didn't take over till January 20th. Tariffs will soon start kicking in, and companies are starting to move into the U.S. in record numbers. Our country will boom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. This will take a while, has nothing to do with tariffs, only that he left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it will be like no other. Be patient. Biden did leave us with bad numbers. I loathe Biden. He came in with the ability to do so much for so many, and he squandered all of it. But this is now Trump's economy, and the tariffs are going to destroy what little is left of a normal life in this country.
Yeah, the tariffs are going to really wreck the middle class. They're going to be punitive on poor people in the middle class to a level we haven't seen in a long time. Like, the estimates were that tariffs were going to cost us $4,000 a year. It's going to be more than that. I'm going to tell you, because it's going to hit the jobs. Jobs are going to be hit hard, right?
Yeah.
Jobs are going to be hit hard because people are not going to be, disposable income is gone for most people, right? Yep. I mean, the $4,000, if it's only $4,000, which is what they were saying, the tariffs are going to add to every person's budget every year. That hits first the tourist industry, right? Because you're like frivolous stuff. You stop traveling, you stop going, so LA, you don't go to LA for a vacation anymore. You don't. Okay, so that's part of it. And then the other part is,
you don't go to a movie, you don't.
Yeah, so your local shit gets,
like,
you don't spend as much money.
Yeah.
You cook at home, you do everything you can to not contribute out in the local economy.
Yep.
And you buy more Amazon products, because it's cheaper. You have to. You go to Walmart more because you have to. You go to Target more because you have to.
Yep.
Okay, the companies coming here, those are not going to provide jobs, and it's going to be a double impact, because they're not going to provide jobs. It's going to be AI stuff. It's going to be managerial stuff.
Yep.
It's going to be, it's not like 10,000 jobs at a factory anymore. It's like 7,
That's you're overseeing like computers and
but it's going to be a double dip, because your local government, your local mayor is going to sell out the whole fucking city to get that factory in his city.
Yep.
And they're going to pay out all these subsidies. They're going to hurt your economy locally, which is going to make them have to cut the food program, because they can't afford to pay for the food program because they gambled on Target's factory or whatever it is.
And more money to cops to protect Target's factory against the inevitable,
And you're already seeing this in LA with Karen Bass's budget.
It's disgusting. Yeah.
She's blaming the fire for the budget, but Kenneth Mieja, the Green Party guy who became the controller in LA, called this out a year and a half ago, whenever he was running.
They have defunded every other part of the LA budget except for cuts.
Right. So,
which is
so
both
the first
for
cuts,
overtime and to combat or to pay out when they are held on the times that they are held liable for any of their misdeeds, which are rampant.
So the cuts always go to social programs first.
Yep.
For all these deals, and that's what all these companies coming in under Trump, which there aren't going to be many anyway, but the companies that do come over here, it's going to cost the cities money to get these companies that don't provide jobs, that then fund money to the police department, cut local programs. It's a really bad time in America.
It is truly horrifying. These tariffs are already causing, they're already causing huge layoffs, right? Thousands of layoffs at manufacturing plants. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, said he was going to, on Amazon, start showing the breakdown of new price increases, showing what the price would be, and then the addition of the tariff was going to be a second line item. And what's her name? Caroline Levitt, said it was a hostile political attack on Trump. Trump rang up his friend Bezos, one of the billionaire guys sitting behind him at the inauguration. They fixed it. It was a whoopsie. That was never what Bezos intended. Taken that right off. But that actually, if somebody cared to fight against this insanity that is social murder, it is going to hurt people, like truly destroy people's lives. That's the way to do it. And Bezos, if he cared anybody with that kind of money, he's one of the richest people in the world. If you did that, that would be a very clear indication of what Trump's tariffs are actually doing to all of our bank accounts in the negative.
Yeah, this product costs more because of X dollars. But instead, Trump calls this guy up, the guy who he was allegedly enemies with before, one of the bad billionaires, which he never was. It was all bullshit.
Yeah.
Who donated $1 million to his campaign election, a bribe. It's just kissing ass. But it's really gross that you see all these billionaires making decisions that affect us. I mean, that's the thing. That's why it's a fucking oligarchy.
Absolutely.
You got Elon Musk cutting all these programs. We've already killed because of US aid cuts. That alone is probably going to kill 1 million people in the next year in the world.
Yeah. The USAID one is really hard for me because they do well are like the patina or the whitewashing of, it's like philanthropy. It's to cover all of the horrific things they do across the world. But I understand what you're saying, but also, it really just does underline once again that they're all on the same side. Like it doesn't matter. Like they are totally fine with making us all become their slaves. That's what's going to happen. One way or the other. You're homeless. It's illegal to be homeless. You go to a private prison that we've stocked up, and will force you to fight our fires, to do our robocalls for the Mike Bloomberg campaign, to work for Walmart and McDonald's. They are going to make just our mere existence in poverty be illegal. They will jail us and force us to work for them. That's the plan. That is the plan.
I don't want to saving grace all this, but I think economically Trump is so stupid that he's going to, someone in the billionaire class is going to be on his losing list of billionaires. And even Bezos and Amazon, these companies are going to lose so much money from Trump's stupid economic decisions that are all based on narcissism and not an actual economic theory at all, that somebody's going to take him out in that class. I'm sorry. He's the damage he's done already to these companies, because when our economy goes down by that much, the global economy, they already know that the global economic impact, the global growth of GDP is already harmed tremendously by these tariffs. So I'm telling you, he's gone. I think he's gone. But anyway, that's just.
You might be right. I don't. Listen, they all.
No, it's just after capitalism, and the people close to him are going to profit, and he's going to profit, and some of the people are going to get rich off it. But globally, it's a losing. They all lose with Trump still.
I think you might be right. Maybe that is what happens. I think, Yanis Varoufakis wrote about a year ago about the new cloud capitalism, where you really don't depend on regular people buying your products. And clearly that's no longer the most significant way that these people make their money. And so it all becomes like a shell game, right? Like they all have invested in each other's companies. So much of their company isn't about the production of any tangible good, right? It's just a lot of moving money around, investing, short selling, private equity, buying a company up and selling it off for parts. Like eventually, I think you're right. Like eventually, which is this, this was like it's the inherent conflict in capitalism, but like for COVID, right? Like get everybody back to work. Well, now you've disabled your workforce. People can't work as much. So like it's working against them, but somehow the short-term effects and the money that they hoover up, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know where this ends. They clearly aren't thinking about producing anything that needs to be bought by regular people. Regular people can't buy anything because regular people go out for like the fast food dinners and buy products at Walmart or on Amazon, whatever. It's really wealthy people who buy the huge products, but you don't buy a yacht every year, right? So like they have stifled the ability of the working class to participate in this economy, but they don't care about that. I don't know.
I think that part of it they can milk for a while, right? Like they can bleed us down to the bone and just kill us, but at some point it hits the pocketbooks of a lot of people, powerful people. And I think the race right now is, can those powerful people find a voice in a way in Congress to rein him in on his stupid economic policy? They don't care about the rest.
Right.
But can they rein some of the economic policy in by Congress grabbing a little power from Trump? I don't know.
Yeah.
But if they can't, I think he gets
Luigi.
I think he gets Luigi. Yep.
All right.
I think we have like 6 months.
Really? I mean, all right. We haven't even talked about the fact that there were 3 almost assassinations of him in the year that he was running, in 2024. I mean, that's insane. Whatever. A blip. People are financing their groceries. That's not great. Although the truth is like that. I mean, Josh and I've been living off credit cards for, 2 years now. This second strike in a decade has really flattened us. But like, I think that's just like, which is why, like I was saying, when I was talking to the person who was interviewing me for the May Day Worldwide Socialist website, was that like what we have been used to dealing with in Hollywood, where like you are always desperate, you're always like looking at where's the next paycheck coming from. That's what the whole country is feeling right now. We've been living off our credit cards, forever. And people a lot of times try to make you feel bad for that. But like, okay, then what do you do? Just like give up entirely and just go into hedge fund managing? Like, who is doing well now? Who can afford to do anything? These are restaurant chain increases. These aren't like the fancy places. This is IHOP. It's IHOP, Fridays, Applebee's, Cheesecake Factory, Chili's, Denny's. This is the current cost of 10 menu items, popular casual dining chains, to what those same items cost 5 years ago. IHOP is up 82%. I mean, and the inflation rate, which is bad enough, is 22%. So once they're able to use COVID, supply chain issues, tariffs as an excuse to raise prices, those prices don't come back down.
And that's right there is disaster capitalism in a nutshell, because they're going to take a 5% increase in inflation. So it goes to 27%. And that means our products are going to cost 40% fucking more. And that profit won't go to employees. It'll go more and more to the people at the top. So it's just like this is an opportunity for these businesses to make a lot of money short term by ripping us off, blaming inflation, which they will lean into. And there will be no harnessing or checking on that because they're deregulating every industry that can check unfair practices in the labor market, unfair practices in checking the safety of food. I mean, all the checks and balances are gone to say this is unfair.
Which is part of what Doge was doing when it came in, was defund all of these different agencies. Everybody who was, because he's actually doing quite well, even though he's fought against the tariffs, he still is doing fine. Of course, once you're a billionaire, you're going to always kind of do fine. But there are now a few different agencies that are trying to look into how everything that he is doing through Doge, deregulating, gutting these different departments, will actually help him. But you know,
yeah, but that's the Elizabeth Warren wing of like,
yeah,
we're gonna write a memo, and you know, that's like
strongly worded
memo with like eight key questions for.
Yeah. So this is Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations memo out this morning estimates that Elon Musk and his companies stand to avoid at least $2.37 billion in legal liability through his efforts to gut the federal workforce and exert influence over federal agencies. As of January 20th, Musk and his companies were subject to at least 65 actual or potential actions by 11 different federal agencies. The subcommittee estimated financial liabilities for 40 of the 65 actions by 8 federal agencies. So, you know, that was part of his whole scheme.
He openly said in an interview, if Trump doesn't win, I'm probably going to jail.
Yeah. Okay. Should we move on? Is there something you want to talk about in here? I mean, there's just so much stuff with the economy, AI. UPS just cut 20, or is planning on cutting 20,000 jobs. You know, part of its cost-cutting effort that's linked to fewer deliveries from Amazon because of tariffs. You know, the difference is in China, they are considering this a national project, and they are offsetting the financial impact of these US tariffs. There's nothing like that here.
Here's our response to that. AI. Yeah. So yeah, things are bad. Let's just go to AI. Here we go. Duolingo, the voice, you know, language
not translation. It's learning languages. Language learning.
They're going to go AI first. Can you imagine putting that out there? AI first. Like, what about people first? So AI first. They're going to utilize AI in its hiring process and performance reviews. If you fire me via AI, I'm going to come back and
Luigi.
I'm not saying, yeah.
Listen, you don't forget though that last line. Duolingo will remain a company that cares deeply about its employees. The CEO.
But just AI first. I mean, we care about you.
We care deeply
but not
about you.
Nearly as much
you're
as
fired.
AI.
We're family, but you're fired. We're family.
We're
family here. You're fired. But we care deeply. Sorry about that. Go eat at IHOP. Yeah. Okay.
Good news a little bit. Tesla's in the shitter, and the economists think it's not coming back. And we need to accelerate that by sharing every shitty thing you can about Tesla.
We didn't even talk about it, but did you see that whole the gorilla discourse online?
Yeah, I followed all of it. I think the gorillas would kill us all. Sorry.
The gorillas would
gonna
kill
win.
us all. We would deserve it. But it was funny to me that Elon Musk thought he could be part of Mr. Beast's 100-man army. And that
I missed that part.
Bring
me up to date on that.
All right, I'm gonna give me 1 second. I'm gonna find it. So some guy, just like a guy on Twitter. So what happened was, I guess a dog wandered into a gorilla's exhibit, not exhibit, but his living area at a zoo. Okay, and there's all these people watching. Of course, they're like separated by a moat, but there was this dog. They're still, I think, trying to find the owner. I don't know if they have at this point, but the gorilla is, like beating its chest, wandering around. We're watching this in the video of this dog sort of like yelping and trying to maneuver out of the way. And there was a guy who posted on Twitter, I think 100 N-words could be one gorilla. Everybody just got to be dedicated to the shit, laughing. Okay. That blew up. And I mean, he already had like he's not like some huge celebrity, and it became like, it just exploded so much. And people are like talking about it on different news shows, on, cable media, whatever. And then Mr. Beast says, need 100 men to test this. Any volunteers? And Elon Musk responds, sure. What's the worst that could happen? And that, I think, might be a path of solution for many of our problems. Let's get these people who think they are mighty.
Wow.
To go try to fight a gorilla.
Well, I followed that whole story, but I didn't even know Musk and Mr. Beast were involved. I skipped over that part of it, and I was watching all the science videos of like, like I'm a primatologist. I don't know, is that even a word? But like, here's why the skull of the gorilla, and I'm convinced like there's no way the gorilla can't be beat. It can't be beat.
The only way I saw was like if all 100 people were like all on the same page at the exact same time and pounced, maybe. But like if there was any hesitation, you're done.
Look, they're so strong, you can't harm them is the thing. You can't harm them. So like whatever you do to them, if you're close, they could just rip you in half. So anyone close to them just gets ripped in half.
So that's the answer to the Elon Musk question.
Sure.
What's the best that could happen?
And he doesn't care because like 100 people die. Mr. Beast, he doesn't care if 100 people die. Like, these are capitalists. They're just like, they would fund the experiment. Like if there were no laws, like we are at this point in capitalism where it's a movie scenario where it's like he's going to take 100 people that got that they're on death row and put them in a cage with a gorilla because the public wants it. That could happen. Like it's stupid, but we are there. We are fucking there.
I mean, to me, that's what professional football is. Like paying people to destroy their brains for the billionaire owners. We have not evolved in any way for humanity that makes it better. Anyway, so that's the gorilla discourse. Okay. Are we moving on? Yeah, there we go. What? Do you not see the one labeled wheel? Pat, what's happening?
It's not labeled. My eyes. Yeah, baby. You pick.
Oh, geez. Okay, wait a second. I gotta get. Let's see.
What the fuck?
A lot. I have to. Yeah. Okay. All right. Wait, why isn't it coming? Like it cut it all off.
I have no idea.
StreamYard. Okay, we're gonna do a different one. It's a guy having shots of sake and eating sushi, but you can't even see it. I don't know why that got cut off. Let's try a different one.
You're drunk without telling me you're drunk.
I didn't know you pulled that. Did I ever tell you I caught fire at a party once?
No, what?
I had a shirt. It was we were at some cocktail party. It was nice. So I had tucked in shirt.
Right.
And it kind of puffed out around the back, when it was tucked in.
Yeah.
And I leaned back at the bar, and there was a candle, and my whole shirt went like instantly. It just like, and I had a whole
Oh my
shirt
God.
with no back.
Did somebody
on it.
like did you put it out?
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah. People were like, and then I just had an open back shirt, like assless chaps, but my
That's
shirt was
crazy.
like that at a cocktail party. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's actually really scary. You didn't get burned though?
No, it was harmless.
Because sometimes with burns, like it takes a second for you to register the pain before it happens. Like I think that's something that happens with burns a lot. That's a crazy.
That's another story of me falling into a fire pit.
I
Save that one for later.
I hope there's video for that. Okay, let's move on. I mean, they're doing so much damage, destroying the economy, of course, and then moving on to the deportations, which right now they have said that ICE can enter your home without a warrant to look for migrants. Sorry, I'm looking for this. Rushing deportations to avoid immigration courts, which are backlogged and slow. Since the memo was issued, CBS News reports the Trump administration has signed 456 agreements with local police departments, letting them act as immigration officers, turning traffic stops and routine patrols into immigration raids. We saw last week that the Attorney General of Michigan, Dana Nessel, who's been horrific with the whole Flint water crisis. Jordan Sheridan has reported on the corruption there. This is a Democratic Attorney General. And they have declined to press charges against the Republicans who ushered in the destruction or the poisoning of the water supply there. Oh, that's Lucky seeing Josh for the first time in a week. I hear it.
Josh.
She wants to let me know. Hi, baby. And last week she was raiding pro-Palestinian student protesters' apartments. For why? This is the same person who insisted that Rashida Tlaib was anti-Semitic because Rashida Tlaib said that she thought that there was a pro-Palestinian, a pro-Israeli bias or an anti-Palestinian bias amongst the leaders of her state of Michigan. And so Nessel said that she was an anti-Semite. And then, of course, Dana Bash and Jake Tapper just took that and rode with it. But the fact that this is happening also obviously in very blue states where their police forces are signing on with ICE, there are ways to push back against this. You don't have to just grab your ankles and say, okay, we're all fascists now, right? Show me your papers.
Yeah, and these contracts are extending powers to them that they shouldn't legally have. This is the whole, all of this is illegal. Like if we had this is when they talk about a constitutional crisis, this is it. Like right here, right now, Trump does not have the authority to extend these powers of immigration to local governments. And local police forces don't have the they don't have the legal right to say, oh, it's okay for us to exclude due process from our citizens. Like it's not legal. None of this is legal.
It is not legal. But we're just going to wait on, the courts that are backlogged, or they are in the pocket of, or whatever. They're allied with Trump. By the way, just as a reminder, in Trump's first regime, remember Chuck Schumer saying, we're gonna rubber stamp all of Trump's nominations for federal judges across the country because we want to go on vacation. It's fine. We are now deporting kids and forcing them to show up in court with no lawyers. 4-year-old migrant girl and other kids go to court in New York City, blue New York City, with no lawyer. 2 different families were deported with 3 between the families, 3 U.S. citizen children, and they were held without being able to communicate with legal representation. One of the children had cancer. She was deported without her medication. There was a pregnant mother also deported. There was a 2-year-old U.S. citizen deported with her mother, while the father, who's a U.S. citizen, was fighting, trying to force them to stay. There were lots of lies being told. Rubio was like, well, we're not going to separate a parent from her child. Well, what about the father? Like when I took my kids to get them passports, this was whatever it was, 10 years ago, I could not get them passports without Josh being with me. They needed both of their parents with them to get passports. But you can just deport somebody.
I can't help but think that this push for real ID somehow intersects with cop cities and government.
Yeah.
Knowing that they have to.
Yep.
That we are all going to be more prone to violence and bad behavior as citizens because we are subjected to more cruelty from our government. And so real ID is like, hey, now we're going to have to be carrying our IDs, like.
Oh, well, they've already told people who have visas, green card holders, naturalized citizens, you need your ID on you at all times.
Yeah, but now all these policies make us think we all better because you could mistake us for somebody without a real ID.
Right.
So now it's everybody. Not that.
I mean, just last week we talked about the U.S. citizen who was held in detention. His mother finally got him out, but U.S. citizen, he didn't have his ID on him. This week, there was another U.S. citizen who had a medical emergency and asked, I have to get the details, but asked a CBP officer for directions to the ER, to the medical, to the ER in the hospital. And he ended up being detained for 10 days. And not only that, but the assistant secretary of the DS said, oh, no, he told us that he was actually born out of the country and was here. And like none of then, article after article has proven that none of that was true. But they don't care. And again, like now we have the U.S. Postal Service working with DHS to try to find out who is here illegally. So I mean, this is it has stepped up to another level. One of the moms I was talking with, one of my friends she's the mom of one of my kids' teammates. She works with pregnant teenagers in Minnesota. She said her 16-year-old, one of the girls she works with, gave birth on the floor of her living room because she didn't want to go to the hospital to have a baby because she was worried that she might be deported. Delivering a baby is the #1 killer of women worldwide. It is a traumatic experience that your body goes through. We've figured out many ways, for the most part, in developed countries that it mostly goes off well. Although, of course, I've said before, I lost a dear friend after she had her 3rd baby and she delivered at Cedars-Sinai. It was just the craziest thing. But that's a traumatic, you need to be with professionals. But people are scared to go to the hospital now because ICE agents are coming into hospitals. But it reminds. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, but this is where, like, this is the point where we push back. This is where,
Is it?
I mean, when the colleges cave, we're really fucked, because the colleges are supposed to be the front line of standing up to, you know, even
Small
the
L
thought
liberal
of censoring us. Like,
Yep.
it's the first group that should say censorship is not a part of our quest for education, because it's anathema to
Yep.
to
What we stand
to
for, the
learning.
principles
You know,
of
we have
yeah.
to be able to discuss everything.
Right.
And when they cave, it's really bad. So anyway, I look, Greyhound, I don't know shit all about Greyhound, but I want to give them kudos, because
Yeah.
they're saying ICE can't get on the buses without a warrant.
Yep.
So that's one good thing I fucking saw.
But I'm gonna bring it back for a second. Don't
Damn
ruin
it.
my don't what's
Yes,
the
we're
like
not-
harsh on my parade? What's the flip of that?
Nope.
Don't
Kill my vibe.
yeah, but like you're trying to bring us up and bring some positivity. I'm like, no, I still want to live in the negative.
Don't harsh my egg.
Yeah, don't harsh my neck. Kilmar Abreu Garcia's wife was doxxed and started getting death threats. So she's at a safe house now. A Wisconsin judge arranged for one of the people in her courtroom to take a side exit because she didn't want ICE agents coming into her courtroom and arresting people or intimidating people. She was arrested. So they are now arresting judges who do anything that there is now a huge spectrum of things that are considered terrorism, illegal, working against the international interests of the United States. You know, like there is like an umbrella for anything that just irks them. And yeah.
But the point of it is to scare other judges. That's the whole point of it. It's like these false deportations, they're not necessarily mistakes, because they want the cruelty to be out front. They want the fear to be out front. They want people, especially going after these judges. It's not an accident. The judges will win their cases should their cases get to a fair court, which they ultimately probably will. But it still is like it's a shot across the bow of like, you better shut the fuck up. Don't come after Trump. Don't fight ICE. Don't be hard on the administration.
Yep, it is. But
that's
if
fascism.
we do that, we lose.
That
It is fascism, and I'm scared. Like I am scared. I'm scared for all of us. But the more people bend to that, the more they get away with. And that is terrifying, you know. And there was just a report that, I mean, you know, it's like there's so much atrocity happening that you can't even keep up with all of it. But the whole thing with Kilmar Abreu Garcia and the other like 230 people who were just with no due process accused of being terrorist gang members, rapists, you know, they do the whole same thing that the Israelis did about Hamas, you know, mass rape and human trafficking, like whatever. They'll just lob these horrific accusations and they don't have to prove anything, no due process. Well, they're illegal anyway, like all the crap that people use to justify it. And now Bukele is saying that these people that he is housing, and he was paid millions of dollars by Trump, he will exchange with Venezuela, with the prisoners they have in their jails who are El Salvadoran. So basically, these people who were just whisked away from the US with no due process are being held hostage for an exchange for prisoners in Venezuela. And many of those people were here legally, and there was no due process. And if there are so many violent criminals here from El Salvador or wherever, like, why can't we, like, why aren't they rounding those people up? Because here's the crazy thing, as disgusting as Trump and his regime are, he has not deported as many people as Biden did in the same amount of time yet.
Right. It's just they want the power to be on display.
Absolutely. And as Sirota points out, 3 administrations in a row. U.S. spies on callers without courts. That's under Bush. Then the secret kill list under Obama. Trump administration disappearing people like the Soviet Union. You know, I mean, it just continues.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm headed more towards conspiracy land, like worst case scenarios with this government, because I think we are at that point with a lot of this stuff. I think like they're going to be like, our show doesn't matter, but like some leftist show, some podcasters going to get arrested mid-show. Like, you know, something like that is going to happen to like, to try to chill anyone pointing out Cop City stuff, you know, expansion of the police force, like anti-Israel stuff. Like there's going to be a big high profile arrest in that area that's not based on any legality whatsoever. Like I think that's coming month or two.
Because what do you do? Like that judge, I mean, she posted bail. Now she's going to have to fight, right? Like I don't think she's still in jail. And by the way, our show does matter. No, I'm kidding. But no, I think you're right. No, I mean, I do. I think you're right. And they want to go after the more high profile people. And even the people who are not even doing, like, they're not even going after the worst, I'm putting that in quotations, but like the most disruptive. They're going after people like on campuses who were actually chosen by the administration because they were good negotiators and de-escalation and, you know, like,
that's what they want. They want the example of like, oh, I could be that person. Maybe I should not be so critical because that person got arrested and they're pretty close to what I was saying. Like, oh, scary.
I mean, you're taking like immigration lawyers are getting U.S. citizens who are lawyers, immigration lawyers are getting emails saying deport yourself. Right? Like,
but this is fascism 101. You know, we're going to get, the policies are going to get worse the less popular this administration gets.
Yeah.
Because this is what they have to hang on to power. This is it. Their move is the power part. It's the we don't care what the law says part. And we're crossing that threshold now about we don't care about the law, which is why this is such a different moment than we've, you know, yes, Democrats are terrible. They set all this up, but like right now they set up the Nazis. So we need to actually fight the fucking Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first step is we don't care about democracy. We don't care about what our constituents actually want.
Which that's been gone for 20 years, 30 years,
at least.
really.
Yeah.
Like the last 10 have been really fucking awful.
As that keeps happening, the people in power, the people with the most money, the people most protected, they are more and more able to ignore what they are doing to the rest of us, right? Everybody needs healthcare. So radical. Everybody needs a living wage. You need to at least make enough money from your one job to put food on the table and a roof over your head. Doesn't matter anymore. Nope. Now you're homeless and now we're going to prosecute you for being homeless. Like they don't care. They haven't cared. Our civil rights have been, I mean, and you know, obviously I know that like Native Americans, Black Americans have had to live in this reality for centuries. And I don't think it's like, that's horrific, but the sort of like brazen way that they're doing this now, it is escalating.
It's escalated a lot.
Yeah.
It's like this is our last stand, kind of like we have to actually fight this now. Like it really matters, because if we wait for elections to save this, everything gets much worse on a level that we haven't seen, and it just gets stepped back 5% when you have Democrats. But it's like it's just the arc of the evilness of society and capitalism fucking us all is spiking severely now, and our chance to do something about it is now. Like it gets worse every day we don't do anything about this.
It really does, which is why they, again, I mean, I know we all know this, but it's why the cop cities are happening. It's why they're cracking down at the institutions. It's why even after we, all commended Harvard for saying they were going to fight back, they've now said they're actually going to disband their DEI, and they're going to make some adjustments to, do as the administration requested. People are scared, and they want their money, and they like the careers they're in, and there are too many cross streams. It's like, as soon as you start, and I mean, like, there's so many different ways to delve into this, but as soon as you start peeling back the Jeffrey Epstein, and you see, okay, so it's both political parties, it's the royal family, it's every major institution in our country, and they're all, are they being controlled? Are they being not bribed, blackmailed, whatever it is? Like, the fingers of power are controlling a lot of different people, and people are scared.
Yeah, and we get this, but just the reminder is that the checks on power are what? Institutions and leadership and businesses and the people at the top, because they stop caring about voting and what we care about. So, but those people aren't affected by these policies. They're not affected by any of it. Yeah. They're well off. It's like they're the people in Germany that are like, why would I speak up? Why would I say anything about this? Because it's too harmful for my personal wealth. It's too risky. And that's where we're at. And, when the institutions aren't, leadership of the institutions, it's all been taken over by rich fucking donors and Zionists and, Cop City people. And we just don't have a say in society anymore without some actual action, which is our voice, our vote, our money, but when that doesn't work, Luigi's. And
they know that that's where they really know that that's where they're leaving us.
Yep.
We didn't even get to all the First Amendment stuff that we should. This is like the cherry on top of the Jewish supremacy sundae. Is the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act has a carve out now for Christians who want to insist that Jews killed Jesus, because that's part of their religious right. So all
fucking capitalist,
right? All of the Zionists, Jewish Zionists, who were, in favor of this, and like we've talked about this before, but the only people that I always have to like think before I say this, the only people that Zionists hate more than anti-Zionists, no, I get it wrong every time. Anyway, Zionists are not your friends if you are Jewish. They actually are not. Whether they are Jewish Zionists or Christian Zionists, they are anti-Semitic, and the only people that anti-Semites hate more than anti-Zionists are Jews. They are not your friends. They want a carve out in the Anti-Semitism Awareness Bill that conflates criticism of Israel with criticism of Jews, and they call it all anti-Semitism, but they want to make sure they can still say that Jews killed Jesus. And by the way, the only reason they want to, preserve Israel is because they think that that's where, the second coming will come from in the Armageddon. The end days is what they are gearing up for. Jews will not be part of their plan in that fake Armageddon, whatever. They're not your friend.
It is so wild to me how the far right has embraced all this Zionism because the far right is the most racist anti-Jew, group that ever existed.
Yep.
But they got a carve out now. They got a carve out to be still far right nut jobs. I mean,
because of great defender of Jews, Marjorie Taylor Greene. What's her name? MTG. Yeah.
Who thought, remember the Jewish space lasers? That was her. She was the one trashing Jewish people for existing before all this.
And Elise Stefanik saying that, basically Jews were part of the Great Replacement. But now she's on the anti-Semitism task force. Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night. It's all going great. All right. I know, just because we have to quickly just say, because it's so disgusting, but very clear. Yes. There was a huge report on Channel 13, I think, in Israel, and then Times of Israel did a piece on it, but that everybody knows, of course, in spite of what AOC said, Biden never pushed for a ceasefire. He didn't give a fuck about a ceasefire. He was handing Netanyahu everything he wanted, every second of it. And the Israeli government has been very vocal in saying that they are thankful that Biden was in charge because they got absolutely no pushback for a year and a half while they continued a genocide on Palestinians, which of course is continuing under, vile disgrace of a person, Trump. But that was all a joke. Remember when he was licking his stupid ice cream cone before with their primaries or whatever? It's we'll have a ceasefire by Monday. Licks his stupid whatever. All these people are gross. And then the thing in Crown Heights where they attacked the woman who wasn't even part of the protest. And they're telling her all of the, in Crown Heights, people protesting Ben-Gvir, who is wanted by the International Criminal Court of Justice as a war criminal genocider, invited there by the organization at Yale. Well, this is Crown Heights, but anyway, invited to Yale by the organization that Cory Booker helped found. And then people protesting there, the Jewish Voices for Justice in Palestine, that group under Yale banned because they protested Ben-Gvir coming. Then Crown Heights, he comes to another, establishment in Crown Heights, and a woman walking by starts getting attacked. They thought she was a protester. I don't know if she was or not, but they thought she was pro-Palestinian. And they ran after her. They threw bricks at her. They kicked her in the back. You want someone to bend you over and fucking rape you? A cop, watching the footage where a cop is having to walk her through this crowd of genocidal maniacs who are attacking her, kicking her in the back, throwing things at her. And then she didn't want to go. She didn't want the cop to walk her to her home because she didn't want them to know where she lives. But that's how they were treating somebody who they thought was just protesting against genocide, which I don't even think she was part of the protest. There's just too much to talk about. It's crazy. There's too much to talk about.
There's so much. Before we go though, I just want to back to the revelation that, which was leaked by, I think, 13 insiders that worked with Biden, that they were never fighting for a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Working tirelessly for a ceasefire. That's why you can't trust AOC and people within the party, because that was their line out there to everybody. Yep. Biden's working. AOC is the one who put that out to the public largely. They placated our movement by saying, by our faith in her, not that I have faith in her, but the faith that was left in her was extended to push for this genocide. And it enabled it. And we are enabling it by saying, I have faith in these progressives within the party that are lying to us. So like this whole oligarchy tour, yeah, keep getting centrists on our side, but like anyone that thinks these people are going to stop, they couldn't even speak up about a genocide. They lied to us about a genocide. They lied to us that Kamala was also fighting, working tirelessly for a fuck them all. So they're not doing anything for us. Anything, not a single fucking thing.
Ilhan Omar at least called her out almost contemporaneously about her lies. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Of course, people who support a genocide are not going to help fix our oligarchy or our democracy or fight for us on any level. Of course not. Reprehensible. All right. Whatever. And 18 months in, Amnesty International is finally saying, yeah, it's a genocide. But I don't even think the news has covered it. But who? I mean, 18 months in, like I watched a boy or a toddler being bombed onto the roof of the next building while his sister was bombed somewhere else into 2 parts. If you can't speak out against that and fight against that, like you definitely can't moralize about anybody's votes or anything. You should just hide your face in disgrace and go, to the money cave where Obama.
Yeah, you know what I want to see this week? Yeah. I want to see Bernie and AOC asked a million times on TV. Your buddy Joe was supposed to be fighting tirelessly for a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Let's, like, if I had a minute with Bernie, I would say, do you not think that you presenting that to your people that supported you softened the fight against him? Because it did, you fucking loser. So say something now, right now. Yeah. Like, I don't care. I'm not saying look back in a bad way, but right now, attack him for that.
Yep.
If you have a fucking spine, AOC, attack him for that. Say, I was out there on the trail saying you were fighting ceaselessly. You fucking lied. You fucking piece of shit. Kids died. Kids are dying now because of your piece of shit actions. You fuck. That's what I want from these people.
And they won't. They were willing to lose to Trump, which they did, because they wouldn't pull back from this genocide. That's who the Democrats are. And anybody who says, and Bernie's doing his oligarchy tour, but when he was asked, and we didn't show this clip, but when he was asked, so do you want people to run third party? No, we're just going to help change the Democratic Party.
Too much.
Yeah, that's too much. That's crazy. Okay. As we always say, as we all know, there are a few ways to go. I know that many of us subscribe to the, Manja platform, but the other way is to show solidarity amongst the working class internationally, which, tomorrow is May Day. As we all know, in the US, they changed Labor Day to sometime in September because they wanted to, sort of balkanize all the different groups. So the US wouldn't be part of international solidarity. However, enough people now are aware, and some people have always been aware, but there will be many rallies tomorrow for May Day, for working class solidarity against oligarchs, against genocide, against the repression, against everything that's happening in this country and frankly around the world. As I mentioned, the one organized by the World Socialist website, they will be holding an online rally on Saturday. So if you aren't able to attend anything in person tomorrow, you might want to go to wsws.org and register for their online rally. But there will be people in the streets tomorrow. And I do think that anytime we're all able to get into the streets with other people, it's important because it's the only thing that's going to make a change. Do you have anything else to say?
All of that, but then a couple of Luigis. Can we just sprinkle a couple of Luigis on top?
I mean, those are the,
let's get out of here with
those
that.
are good things. Okay.
I appreciate WSW.
WSWS.
Yes.
Yep.
And look, those guys get it. they get the economic impact. They get what it takes to change the world. It's socialist government. Like, people love socialism. We need to unite left and right, but not with racists, not with fucking terrible people. We don't need that as part of a movement. Yep. But join something tomorrow. Something, somehow, somewhere. Might as well be that, or locally.
Absolutely. And Jen said that she and Pete will be doing on generational change on their podcast. They'll be streaming tomorrow night, a celebration of May Day. A reminder that our series with Zainab will start on Sunday about the tech oligarchy, the God complex, whatever. They are taking over our whole world, these fascists. There is, however, a drop of good news that we should celebrate because it happens so infrequently. Mohsen Magdawi was freed today. He was the graduate student from Columbia who was the head of the Palestinian-born, head of the Buddhist Student Union at Columbia and part of the anti-genocide protests on campus. And when he went to his meeting with an immigration officer in Vermont, which is where he resides currently, they arrested him. The judge who freed him, Jeffrey Crawford, said, "Those who know Madawi describe him as a peaceful figure who seeks consensus in a highly charged political environment." But Crawford added, even if he were a firebrand, his conduct is protected by the First Amendment. The court is aware that he has offended his political opponents and apparently given rise to concerns at the State Department that he is an obstacle to American foreign policy. Such conduct is insufficient to support a finding that he is in any way a danger, as we use that term in the context of detention and release. And then Judge Crawford went on to warn people of the current McCarthyism of labeling anybody who is not 100% endorsing our fascistic government's exploits around the country and the world of McCarthyism.
And that matters because his ruling shows that we're not making the case about what he even stood for. This is a First Amendment issue, which lobs it up for the Supreme Court to take on the issue directly without any obstacles of proving he was this or that.
Yep.
Because that's irrelevant at this point because it's already been ruled. Anyway.
Even if he didn't protest in a civil, nice, polite, unifying way, it's still protected. Right.
Yes.
100%.
Amen.
All right, guys. Thank you for sharing this with us. It is horrible times, but so much better to be in it with everybody together. So thank you to all of you. Cheers. Keep punching up. We'll see you Sunday.
See you Sunday with a different whole show. Join us.
Cheers.
All of you here. Also want to thank my people in Vermont, Vermonters. And if you don't know the history of Vermont, you should look up the Underground Railroads to know what Vermont is. If you don't know Vermont, you need to search the history of the civil rights movement and the anti-Vietnam War to understand what Vermont is. And from this place, in front of this court, me standing here with you, among you, it sends a message that is loud and clear, not only to the Vermonters, but to the rest of America. And the message is, we the people will hold the Constitution accountable for the principles and values that we believe in. And we send a clear message as well, that if we have faith in our beliefs, unshakable beliefs, which is the belief that justice is inevitable, we will not fear anyone because our fight is a fight for love, is a fight for democracy, is a fight for humanity. And I am saying it clear and loud to President Trump and his cabinet, I am not afraid of you. Yeah!